Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Dynamics Corner, the podcast where we dive deep into all things Microsoft Dynamics. Whether you're a seasoned expert or just starting your journey into the world of Dynamics 365, this is your place to gain insights, learn new tricks, and hear from industry experts. As Margaret Mead famous quote about community contributions, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. I'm your co-host, Kris.
And this is Brad. This episode is recorded on January 30th, 2024. Kris. Another episode of this great year that we have in store for us.
Yes,
another
new season.
Exciting and engaging and thoughtful and informative episode. In this episode, we had the opportunity to speak with three members of the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central community to talk about many things. We were able to talk about a continued conversation on the open source contribution. We were able to talk a little bit about the new projects module and many other great things that are to come for Business Central. In this episode, we had the opportunity to speak with KB, Jesper, and Andrei Panko.
Hello.
Hey. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good evening.
Good evening, afternoon, good morning. It's always that. I like your fancy background.
Which one? I hear a little bit of echo here. Is that?
I'm not certain who is echoing.
Oh, I hope not me.
No, I don't hear an echo.
No, I think now it's better.
How's better?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah,
much better.
Jesper, you have the biggest office out of all of us.
You have the best office with the glass windows. Yeah. I need to have that office. And then KB.
I actually love this office. I mean, if we moved here, I think, oh man, time flies when you're having fun, but it's a couple of years back. And it's like just so light and like there's glass everywhere and all the offices are, next to a window or like big glass facades, and it's really, really lovely.
It's awful airy, so gives you the sense of space. Although at nighttime, if you work that late or that early, it must be difficult with the darkness. But KB also pulls up with the R2-D2 Lego. Is that a Lego statue in the back?
No, it's not Lego. It's not Lego.
Not Lego? What is it?
No, it's a droid which I built last week. So you can build the droid.
Down at Disney.
Yes. If you go to Disney, you can build a droid. So that was super fun. And my kid has BB-8 somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
I told you to go to Star Wars Land, and you told me that you didn't like Star Wars.
Oh, that was a joke, right?
Oh, I didn't understand it was a joke. I am a big Star Wars fan. And
who doesn't like Star Wars? Come on.
I know, right?
I don't know. I have yet to meet anybody who doesn't. But did you build a lightsaber as well?
Ooh.
No, only because I would not be able to bring it home. So that was only one reason. Like it's too big.
Because they come in a big old box.
Yeah, it's like I was even checking, and I said to my wife, I need to build it, but then I just checked dimensions for the suitcase, and that was not possible to take it, right? So, and I was not sure that you can bring it to the plane like a cabin baggage, right? So, that would be pity if they will say, no, sorry, you cannot take it.
You gotta pay extra. You gotta check it in and everything.
Yeah, but it's
one trick that I found is, and I didn't know because someone else had it. When I built mine, I was concerned about bringing it back. I did find out you can bring it on the plane, believe it or not. Right. But I believe right outside that area where you build the lightsaber, there's a place to ship it. Because I carried mine around the park the whole day.
I've seen a lot of people, but I think it's only to US probably.
So, okay.
But if you want to see something which I built as well, give me just 2 minutes.
Absolutely, we'll give you 2 minutes. But 2 minutes, we'll start the timer now. But and then Andrei, welcome. It's nice to see you. How are you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Good. You don't have the fancy background like Jesper, though.
No. Working from home today.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you
He
would have
usually
had
does.
He usually
this
has that background.
Ooh,
Look
Wow.
at that.
how long did that take him?
Oh wait, I need to take my headset. You even
Wow.
can
Proper
hear it
X-wing.
almost, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Now I'm
And-
torn between making Star Wars Legos or F1 Legos.
Oh wow!
Like I see all of this buzz about it, and it's
that's a
that's
stand.
fancy.
Nice.
How long did it take you to make that?
Oh, that wasn't too long. Like one day.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
That's
And
fast.
it's not the biggest set of Lego, right? I mean, for Star Wars.
I know it's not the biggest, but it's about half the size of you. So
Yeah.
it's about the half the size of a
Let's
person.
say my wife, when she bought it for me, she didn't consider it so big.
I have to
always-
follow up with this.
I always wanted to buy the Millennium Falcon. but
Oh
it's
yeah,
so
that's gonna take.
expensive.
It's gonna take a
I'm
long
actually
time to
going to
build.
take you on a little tour here of our office because we do have a Lego room that I could show you.
Yeah.
Just
No
a second.
way.
Yeah, whenever
KB,
we want to be
this is-
creative and like you don't want to build Business Central, you get to build Legos. So let's
I have
see.
to
Let me
come
just
to that
quickly-
office.
You're welcome
Oh, you
anytime.
too?
You should see. See here?
Wait.
So we've got
Oh
the
wow!
Titanic and New York. And we also got R2D2 up there, I think. Can you
Look
see?
at that.
That is
so here we
amazing.
have a live
And
tour
Hogwarts.
of the office with
And the
Legos.
biggest one, I think, is the Eiffel Tower. That one is like, if you put me in
Oh, that
scale.
new one. I haven't seen it.
That
Oh,
is.
wow.
That's about the size of you as well.
Yeah.
That is great.
That is
So-
amazing.
I'm going to go back to my little...
You go back to your office now.
And we also do puzzles here, like, to entertain ourselves and talk
That's
about what
cool.
should we build next in Business Central,
No, that's a great way to do it. I recently read a book, and that's something they talked about as far as taking your mind off, getting a little clarity, thinking about other things sometimes helps you solve problems that you're thinking about. I know when I go hiking, that's often where I tell everybody I do some of my best thinking because, you're exerting physical energy and your mind's taken off of it. And sometimes things just come to me.
That's true.
Yeah. Oh, KB, you have a Stanley Cup. That's like popular.
Yes, that's also from US. You see,
They're
was
from
in
here, where I'm from.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It
I think
wasn't
their
so easy
office in
to
Washington
get it.
State.
On this episode of the podcast, we will all discuss and talk about our props that are in our room.
But Brad, you got something as well, right? A new MVP title?
Oh, yes.
Nice.
Yeah,
Congratulations on that one. That's
Thank
really,
you.
really
Thank
cool.
you. It's a privilege and an honor to have that recognition and to be among so many other great members
Very
of the
well
community.
deserved.
I
Thank
told
you
him he
very
needs
much.
to set up his background so he has a little bit more shelves and put his stuff up.
That now he will get something, so he can put it on the wall.
I like it plain
Yeah.
and basic. I'll swap it up and put some books or something maybe. I had the bookshelf before and I'll put that back. But thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And I thank all of you for taking the time to speak with us today. Happy New Year as well.
Happy New Year.
As always, I'm always looking forward to speaking with members of the community along with having some great conversation about Legos and other things. But before we jump into the conversation, I have a number of questions for all of you that I'd like to talk about. If you would, those that don't know, which I don't think there are many, each of you, if you would just tell us a little bit about yourself, and we can go with KB.
Yeah, so I'm KB, or known as Christoph for some, which was fun, by the way, in the US. I always say KB, and my kid was saying, like, oh, you should say the real name, just to annoy them. But yeah, so I'm part of the community. I'm also as Brad, Microsoft MVP, and really passionate about the open source. I think it will be a topic today. Maybe.
Maybe a topic.
Who knows? By day, I'm working for Dynaway, and I'm responsible for the product there and doing a lot of great fun stuff as well with development and functionality. So,
Great, thank you. I am very sad that I didn't get a chance to meet up with you while you were here in the United States. Hopefully, we'll be able to meet up soon and we can have that beer. Just the scheduling didn't work, and you were all over the place. You were tough to keep up with, and when you had availability, you were a 4-hour drive away from me, so it's a little difficult to coordinate that. Mr. Jesper, sir.
Yes, my name is Jesper, as you said. So actually, up until yesterday, I would have introduced myself as being a manager of a Business Central team, but today is my first day where I'm actually back in a brand new role. So I stepped out of the manager role and I'm now back in an individual contributor role. And I will actually spend all of my time trying to lead our open source efforts and working with the community on developing Business Central and also being an ambassador for our partner channel here inside the Business Central team. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what my new job description is, but it's very, very new. It's very recent. But I'm super excited that I get to spend all my time and energy on this amazing community. And also, I think it's about time that I maybe I mean the open source initiative over the past years has really, really evolved. So it's great that it gets the attention that it deserves, I think. So,
yes, and I see you around there doing all of these great things with that open source contribution. And congratulations on the position. I look forward to seeing many more great things of you, and I'll communicate with you more. And I'll add that to my list of topics that I want to try to get out with everybody here. Andrei, how are you?
All great. So name is Andrei Panko. I work as product manager, responsible for supply chain part of the product. So like if you split Business Central as in Microsoft like into chunks, so we have a platform, different levels of platform, like how it works in the cloud, what is a server, what is a client, and then we have application. And application is split basically finance and non-finance, and we call it a supply chain for simplicity. But basically, it includes warehouse, manufacturing, even purchase and sales, and project and service management, all this stuff. So it very often lands on me.
Oh, that's a big responsibility. A lot with that. And I heard the word project, which I like. AKA jobs. I like the new nomenclature for projects, and I hope to see a lot of enhancements to that within 2024. I did see the planner for 2024 was released, I think, maybe a week or so ago, and I saw a lot of great functionality there, along with the new sustainability module. But with this, for KB and Jesper, this is a follow-up to the podcast that you were on with us last May. It was released May 16th. If anyone hasn't heard it, I encourage everybody to listen to it, where we started talking about the open source contribution. And now we're fast forward just about a year. And for anybody that may not know, back in October of 2022, I believe it was, Microsoft announced the new open source program, or the pilot, I guess you could call it, for Business Central base application. And the base application is the core functionality. And this allowed partners and other members of the community to contribute to the application. And in that time, a lot of things have happened. I see that the system app is also now visible within GitHub, where members of the community can see the changes that are being made to that. And one thing to also talk about, I took some advice of KB in this process and from the last podcast. And I want to talk about that as well. I'll tell you what that advice is. But if you would, I see the term either when I first think about when the base app was released for the contribution pilot, and now the system app is now available on GitHub for members of the community to see and track the changes with. What is the difference between the base app and system app? I hear that term regularly in conversations with everybody in the community, but I don't know if I've heard a clear distinction or definition of exactly what is the base app or the system app.
Yeah, so the system application is something that we started building, I think, 5 years ago, where we started extracting all the horizontal modules out of the base application. The base application is that big monolith, right? So we extract all the horizontal shall we say, more platformy flavored features out of the base application. And that's really what started the entire open source idea, because these platform modules, or these vertical modules, or modules used for verticalization, is also what partners need to build their verticals on top. And since, in the cloud, you don't really have a code customization model anymore, but it's the extensibility model, then we needed a way for partners to also easily chip in to these new horizontal layers. So that's then how we started the idea of, maybe we should go the open source way and have a contribution model. So in reality, the system application was the first thing that actually was open sourced on the AL app extensions repository. But the thing that has happened now recently in November, and which is makes all the difference, I think, is that previously we had a model where we have an internal repository of the system application, and then we had a copy on GitHub. So partners would then contribute to the copy, and I would then hand port it back to our internal repository, which is not really open source, right? It's kind of, it's still a contribution model, but you don't get to see what's going on in the internal repository. But now, with the BC Apps repository that launched in November, it is actually the only and the true repository for the system application. So there is no internal copy, which also means that if you go to Microsoft BC Apps, you will see all the pull requests and all the discussions and all the code reviews going on also internal from our internal developers. And you will know what we are developing for the next major before we've even released it. So you can go in, you can chip in early, you can say like, hey, wow, cool, you're developing a number series module, but you forgot my scenario. I use it this and that way. Could you maybe also consider that? And so we can, collaborate on the APIs of our new modules before and have them, ready for all of our partners' verticals before we even go live with them, which is the kicker. Now, that we've only done for the system application for now, because this is it's very, very difficult to do for the base application. A year ago, when we met in May, we fairly recently had started the base application pilot, and it is still a pilot a year after, and it will remain a pilot, I think, for the foreseeable future. And there's a reason for that. We can't go full open source with the base application quite yet, because you may or may not know, we have all these localizations. So the US market has a special version of the base application. The German market has a special version, and so on and so forth. And that just isn't really open source compatible or GitHub compatible. So the problem is right now, if you then create a pull request and you check it in, and then the build system kicks in and it tries to generate all these local versions, then the wheels might fall off of, for instance, the US version. And there is no way that you as a contributor can change that. Or you might break some local tests. And again, there's nothing you can do because these local tests are not on GitHub. So that's the biggest challenge that we have at the moment. I know, Brad and Kris, you've had some other talks about localizations and all the challenges.
Yes, I was going to mention that. We spoke with Alexander.
Exactly.
Which was a very informative episode where he talked with us about the localizations and requirements for regulatory within Business Central, along with talking a brief conversation about the new sustainability module, which I'm also excited to start working with.
Yeah.
So,
and you also mentioned, I think you touched upon the delocalization efforts, right? Where we're trying to get out of this localization model, and we rather want to have, global features for local markets. And also the way that the base application, it is still a big monolith beast. I mean, we're trying to rip it apart, both from the top and from the bottom. So system application and first-party apps, and trying to rip all these bits and pieces out of it. But it's still a big blob. I mean, it's like this chunky thing. It's just very, very hard to make changes to the base app without breaking things left, right, and center. So that's why we're still in this pilot phase. And now, with my new role, I hope that I get to dig deeper into what are the challenges and how can we get around these challenges, and is there a path forward for the base application to go true open source. So we've made some minor adjustments. I don't know if you recall, but last time when we spoke in May, we discussed also that what was out on GitHub was the latest release branch. So back then we were on 22. So what you saw on GitHub was the code for 22. But now we've actually made some changes, and you cleared the path that we can actually put out our main branch, which is the next upcoming major release. So the code that you see in the repositories on GitHub right now is no longer the currently released version, but it's the upcoming major, which means that you can actually contribute already to the upcoming release rather than only, working on the old stuff.
No, that's great. And I have a number of questions around that, and I'll try to get them all. But now you had mentioned, and I did see the note about it's now with the next major release. How does that coincide with the public preview or the timing? When does that become available? We have the insider builds, we have the public preview, and then now you have this next major version that's available on the pilot, which again isn't the live repository. It's in essence a copy that you're working with that you merge in after the changes have been approved.
So the term insider build as such doesn't really exist anymore. That like previously you needed to be a registered partner, and you needed to have this insider SaaS token, and with that SaaS token you could get an insider build, which was a preview of the upcoming major. That SaaS token we've removed, so you can at any given time, you go in and you can grab the latest Docker image, and you can take it for a spin, and everyone can do that. And I think we're releasing or updating this daily, if not multiple times a day. I think actually every build that we produce, it just goes out there. So there's absolutely no secrecy anymore. There's nothing like hidden behind curtains here and like rabbits in the hat directions or whatever. What we are developing, you can see out on GitHub. You can see it in our builds, daily builds. So at any time, go in, grab it, see what's going on, what we're working on, give us feedback, or even better, collaborate with us on making it perfect.
Yes, and with the collaboration effort, one of the questions that I had asked in our last podcast, podcast, even I get a little tongue-tied. How does somebody go through the process of contributing in the open source? And one part of the conversation, KB, I don't know if you recall, I know you remember every single conversation that you and I have in detail, but you suggested that somebody, in essence, sit back and watch the interactions, right? Watch the conversations, take a look at issues and see the interaction. Well, this is something that I did. So I took your advice. I had some questions of how does somebody do it, and I did listen to what you had said, and then what I started doing was paying attention to the issues that were on GitHub, taking a look at the code, the pull requests, seeing what was being done, and also following some of the conversations. And then lo and behold, I saw that there was an issue, which I still have to, Jesper, I have many questions on this whole issue assignment and who's working on what, but we can table that for a moment, but just kind of walk through this and to talk about the experience. I myself grabbed an issue. And then what I did is I went through and I built my local environment, which I'll talk about. And then I worked on the issue, submitted the pull request for the code changes. And then the floodgates open up with feedback from members of the community. And then you work through those issues. Then I was able to, get the dual approval. Again, and the dual approval for the pull request isn't Microsoft approval. It's other members of the community, which is great. So it's not something that's strictly governed by the I know, Jesper, you have your team has the final review of the code, so it doesn't, as you had mentioned, cause any conflicts with any current or future localizations or releases of the base app. So I was able to go through, and then the pull request was approved, and I had a wonderful message from Jesper saying it's been approved. So this is the process now I want to talk about. It was a great process because I think everyone should go through it. And I do have a blog article, which I will release after this podcast to kind of step through how I did all of this. So I thought myself it was a great experience, and I picked up a number of things from it. So from now, it's easy to create the dev environment because, as you had mentioned, that load env ps1 PowerShell script basically creates a container for you to work with. I do have instructions if you want to do it manually, you're not using that. So then you can just get in there and start working and contributing to the open source contribution. So it was a great experience. I think everyone should go through it because it's exciting. I enjoyed it because I've worked with the application my entire career, and I'm happy that I was able to leave, in essence, leave a little piece of something in there that I was able to work on. But also the feedback that you get from the members of the community force you to almost develop better. Not even almost develop, but force you to develop better because the comments that you get back, and I appreciate the criticism because, that public view, you can become a better developer. And also that viewpoint that other members of the community have, Thomas Capitan, I see in there all the time, which we'll talk with him in a future episode that will be coming out. He's in there as well with a lot of comments and contributions, which help make the application better. And I also see comments and issues for the base app itself. So they're not even new issues that need to be created from BC ideas or somebody adds. It's also corrections of the base app to make it work better. So to me, it was just a great experience. And it all started back from this conversation that we had on May 16th of 2023, where KB said, just sit back and pay attention for a little bit. And then when you're ready to jump in the pool, jump in.
Yeah, I think it's even now more important to just sit and look, for example, with this module which Jesper is saying, on GitHub you have a foundation layer, right? So something new to confuse more between system and base app. So you already can know what Microsoft is doing, and you already can give a feedback for that, right? So number series, that was the first one which they are working. And for each developer, it's very important to see what will change. Even if they are not doing contributions, also to follow those repositories out. I think that's something which like everyone should put to their daily task or whatever, the weekly task, to see what is going on and what will change. So number series module, I think, is one of them. I think I was using the number series in many projects that I know what I will need to do in next few releases to change it to the new model, right? To the new approach which Microsoft will have. But I already can know about it when I just looking on those GitHub repositories. So that's super cool. The same with Andrei and project / job, right? So I will say the same as previously. Start from looking, and so great that you just move it to the next level and do some pull requests. That's great.
When you had recommended, and you had mentioned with Andrei, and he talked about the projects module. I do have several questions, Andrei, on the changes of the upcoming, 2024 Wave 1 release of projects. You recommend to look at it, you said weekly or daily, to see the upcoming changes. What do you recommend someone looks at? Do you recommend they look at the approved pull requests? Do you recommend they look at and with that, do they look at the code change differences? Like, how can someone look at that and make sense of it to where it's not overwhelming? Because there is a lot going on. And if I want to take a look and learn what features will be released or what changes are coming, what is your suggestion on how to do that?
So with system app and the foundation layer, what I'm doing is looking on the open pull request and closed pull request to see what was new, for example. So one session that I'm doing on some of the conferences is what is in the system app, and I see that a lot of people still don't know how many gems we can find them, we can find there. And so I'm looking on the closed pull request, that's first, and then open pull request or in progress to see what will be in the future, but also where I can contribute to say, no, do it a little different because of something, or we need this, like Jesper said, will Microsoft fulfill all my requirements? Because I know where I was using for example, the number series module, right? So I even was talking to Jesper about one feature which we may add to it, maybe also that it will be helpful. But in general, it's like close pull request to see what was already added, and in progress pull request to see if I can have any feedback on them and help to make the product better.
Okay, great. I thank you for that input. That's what I was trying to keep up with it as part of my silent listening or silent watching to see the interactions, and just was curious to see what your recommendation was for that. And Jesper, the question that I had with the issues. So now, if some of this is a recap, but now that I've gone through it, I get a better understanding. So now, with somebody wanting to contribute or comment to some of these issues, for me to go into and see the issue list, I think you said you have to look for approved, right? We have to look for an approved tag, and those issues can be worked on, correct? Or is there some other way that you can see?
Yeah, so this is actually why I wanted to have Andrei in this call today, because we're working a little bit on that part, like what can you work on? And again, unfortunately, at the moment, we have these 3 repositories, and that's just very confusing. We've got AL app extensions, where our first-party apps reside. We've got Business Central apps, which is the base application pilot, where the base application sits. And then we've got BC apps, which is the new kid on the block, which is the real open source one, where for now, only the system application and the business foundation reside. So let's start with the real one, BC apps. Here you can suggest just about anything. Like you see some code, and let's just say you find the email module and you are missing something in the API. I remember there was a PR not so long ago where a partner said, well, hey, you're only allowed to delete email accounts through the UI, but not through the API, and I need to have that capability in my AppSource app. So can I add that? Of course, sure. Issue approved. Next thing you know, PR is there. Now he's added that capability. He or she, I actually don't remember. And now you can delete email accounts through the facade, through the API. So because these modules in the system application are meant for collaboration, they're easy to discuss. So here we have opened up that you can more or less suggest anything. The process, though, is still that if it's a feature, if it's a large thing, you should go in on BC Ideas and register that idea. And you should ideally get a few votes from some more of the community saying like, well, you know what, Kris, you should do that next. I am waiting for pull requests from you. You know what, Kris, that's a great idea. I'll give you my vote, and you have done this BC idea. And let's say you get 10, 20 ideas, and you get a feel for if that's something that should be in the base product. Then you can go back to GitHub and you can say, and you can point to that idea. So there's a little new issues button. Click on that, and then there is a suggest feature or something, and it will show you a template where it says, please give me the link to the BC idea. So you just link to the BC idea, and then my team is going to look at it and going to say like, does that make sense or does it not make sense? And if we approve it, then you're free to go ahead and create your pull request. So that's for the system application, and that's really where I would love to be for everything. But the reality for the base app is a different one. So I don't know, Andrew, do you want to talk to what the challenges are about accepting pull requests to the base application?
Yes and no. Yeah, so we have a different type of things. I made some notes, so I'm looking at those. So usually when we're talking about base app, we're talking about user experience. So it will be features which will impact users. So like system application is a special case. So it's usually like it affects developers. They also might not be happy when they're affected in unexpected way. But usually there is some gap between time time between like a change happened and developer have chance to uptake it. User experience is a different one. So like then it means, and we have a lot of users now, they will be affected. So like somebody actually changing the caption from jobs to projects. I'm looking forward for release and how existing users will provide feedback, which will be probably fair because I myself still testing the stuff. I'm typing in job posting group or whatever, job setup, etc. So we made an effort to make sure that it's still searchable and foundable. But I see that in some cases the returned results in the search sorted differently. So some people will be affected, and people don't want to be affected. So like we know it. So like as soon as you change like even color in the product, somebody is not happy. So we need to limit this type of things. And I'm responsible for multiple areas. Like how can we do that? So I made a decision that we will try to focus investment, both external and internal, in one area. It's not 100%, but you can see that like in previous seasons, we were trying to work on inventory and warehouse. Of course, difficult to work on warehouse and not to touch like manufacturing or service or whatever. But in general, we try to focus on this area. Now we are switching to jobs and services. And again, we are trying not to touch other areas, which is not always possible, but again. So like this is like what we try to do internally. And I would like to align with community to also receive contributions in the same area. Because again, then other people, like people who are dealing with manufacturing or warehouse, they will not be affected in positive way, but still disruptive way. And all innovation will land in one release. And it's, again, like easy to present, to communicate, etc. Then, because like for all features which are built by Microsoft or by community, we need to follow the same rules. We need to announce it upfront. We need to have documentation. We need to have release plans so people have time to prepare, because not everybody like so advanced to actually monitor the changes in the code. Some people prefer to scroll through release notes and see like, okay, I see it. And if it's kind of like compressed, it makes more sense. Also, there are two side effects if like changes are in the same area. It's dramatically more chances that issues will be discovered during internal testing. So like, yeah, I'm testing, on my team testing is like what we did, how we rename jobs, for example, into projects. Yeah. And it's some point of time, like somebody have a contribution, and now I can see the difference. Like, yeah, because I was testing another feature, but I also can spot some behavior changes and probably spot the bugs in the same area. If it will be changed from open source in manufacturing area, my hand is like far away from the camera. So I will not notice. I need to test it specifically, test it, forget it. But if you're in the same area, like higher chances. Plus, also do not forget that if people working in some area, they have like code base loaded into their brain already. So like, again, for our internal team, it will be dramatically easy to review things because we already like kind of like warmed up, we know scenarios, we know what we're working, we know like different cases. So like, yeah, that probably we need to take care about like unit of measure, slightly different. That also a benefit. So that's like one perspective. Like, so features, I would prefer to receive from community so that features will be in the same area as we are working in general. So like this release, we are finishing with jobs and we're starting with jobs and services. We will continue with jobs and services for the next one, and then we will switch to something else. So like I would prefer to focus on these two areas. How to convince community to contribute in this area. It's absolutely different and interesting.
That is a big
story.
challenge because some of that will go by the use of that area for the community, because some of the changes or enhancements will be related directly to what the community members are using regularly. And some of those areas, such as formerly jobs, which is now projects, may not be as heavily used for a number of reasons. I do understand, and I think it's a great approach. I can relate to it myself, that once you had mentioned, once you're focused, and it's a perfect explanation of why Microsoft and your teams are focusing on one area at a time, because then you can fully submerge yourself into that area, as you had mentioned, and then you have an understanding of how it works and it relates instead of these pop little pieces coming together, which I think will help contribute to better code. Before you go on that, I have one question about this project and jobs, and I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times, and if you haven't heard it yet, it will be a first, and you can think about it. So it's being renamed to projects on the surface. The underlying code is still jobs, in essence, which I understand why, because changing jobs to projects would be a big change. Is there a plan to ever decouple that from the old jobs, or are we going to have the jobs nomenclature in version 2030, because of legacy upgrades, codes, or problems, or what the typical thing that we're going through? Then we could go back to your conversation. I just had to throw that in there. I'm sorry.
I think Christoph already mentioned this one when we had a round table at Directions. So you're not the first one.
I didn't think I was. KB always beats me to the punch.
So no current plans to do that, because breaking change impact will be huge for existing partner and customer base, and beneficial for new developers who are entering this world of Business Central. So until we have a painless way to rename objects in our base app, and also somehow push this change to all partners' code as well, as kind of like some magic PR against partner repositories, so they only need to review and approve. Would be fun, and also upgrade working. So I don't think we need to invest into this rename at this point of time.
I believe it or not, we're trying to keep the breaking changes to a minimum, because every breaking change always inflicts work on the partner channel, right? So unless there's a really good reason for doing a breaking change, and even though it's a change that might, where we only deprecate something and then you need to do the changes 3 releases down the road, it's still, we do very rigorous investigation if we need to make that change. And in the case of renaming, we often don't see the value. There's no customer value. There's a huge impact that we're inflicting on tons of partners in PTEs, in app source apps, on-prem solutions too. So yeah, as Andrei said, I mean, if we can find some tools that makes it painless, then we will definitely maybe go looking at it. Definitely maybe.
I understand the challenge, and I was just curious of that myself, just thinking from the development point of view alone. I mean, I think, as you had mentioned, on the customer-facing side, which is, a majority of the users of the application, developers, it's important to create functionality for the users. But if the users don't see the difference, then it may not be important, because...
However,
go ahead. However,
no, the only thing we as developers need to think what approach we will do with the new field, right? So let's say you have a field custom page and you would like to add the project number. So will you add it as a field job number in behind to be aligned with the standard naming in the field area or development area, or you will call it project number? And that's something which I still don't know. And to be honest, Andrei know about it, and I would like to also see how Microsoft will deal with that. Right? I think from our side, maybe job number will be still better solution, and just have a caption often as Microsoft is doing that. But yeah, I still don't know. So just thinking how, especially that I'm adding a lot of job number fields right now, so I know what I will need to change. But yeah, that's something which is more important for me than like if they don't change the name in the behind the rename, and how we will approach the new development.
I can say how we are doing, because like we immediately encountered the same question when we started to build in the same area, and now it was job archive, which during development was transformed into project archive. So it's still a job internally, but caption-wise, it's a project archive.
Can you at least in job module plus project module add some notes for the new developers why those fields are not just that for the record, that everyone will know why those fields are.
Yeah, that would be helpful for new developers, right? Because they wouldn't know unless you've been in the space for long enough to know that it was called jobs. So you'll need somebody to guide them, the new developer. So whether that's a notes, that would be helpful.
Yeah, good suggestion. But I'm not going to commit to anything here on that.
No, we can't commit to anything that's recorded.
To tap into this trap.
Yes. No, it is a difficult challenge. I am excited to see.
2 years, right? Yes, sir.
But the rich text editor, was that it?
Yes.
I incidentally committed to, yes, sure, you're going to get the rich text editor. It took me 2 freaking years, maybe even 3, I don't remember, to get that
It took a couple years. I remember seeing the chatter about that. And
so that taught me to commit to anything like... Now the answer is always, it's a great suggestion, I'll bring it back.
Yes,
that's how far I go.
I understand. It is a wonderful community, but they will keep you on your toes, as I say, and bring back things that you commit to. It's fun. It's great. So no, I do appreciate, and I'm excited to see a lot of work done with projects. I think it brings things back into Business Central. I had other conversations where certain applications do things well, use the right tool for the right job. And jobs had a few difficulties within Business Central for some of the implementations, and being able to bring that in is great. And I think it gives better leverage for Business Central against other products as well, for those that want to do true project management, project tracking, and time. Which they couldn't do. But I do want to jump back to one thing about the issues. So as far as submitting an issue to the base app, you can create an issue for the system app. You can go into the issues, raise an issue, have correspondence with the team, and there'll be a resolution of something, right? Whether no way, yes, you can do it, we'll do it, whatever, you'll have some sort of resolution on an issue by issue basis. Back to the base app, you can submit an issue and then it could get approved. Depending upon what it is, you may want to reference something on BC Ideas. This is where I had some misunderstanding. I wasn't thinking that I could put my own issues in. I was waiting for you to add issues or approve issues that were already in there. And then I kept going through and trying to find which is one that I could work on, which is one that I thought that I would want to work on. And it was a little difficult because, who it's assigned to or what those tags are. It's almost if we had a tag saying ready to be assigned would be great. Another question that I have, you can take that back. Right? You don't have to commit, but you can take that back and review it. What is the anticipated time frame when someone would assign themselves to an issue to where you would expect to see something done where we may want someone else to work on it? So if there's an issue, for example, that I assign myself to, and for life reasons, I don't have the opportunity to work on it right away, or I may not be able to get to it as quickly as some of the others who have a little more time. What is the expectation on that?
So this is actually not a problem that we've seen so far. We've had a few issues where multiple partners or community members said like, yeah, well, I would love to collaborate on this. hasn't happened often, but we've seen some of that. And then usually if the issue was assigned to someone else, then, there would be a little dialogue like, hey, I had the same idea and I already have a solution because I made it for my customer. And then at some point they agreed upon, okay, you do it. You seem to already have a solution and we agree upon the solution. So you go ahead and create a PR. So usually within the issue, there is a dialogue and then the community members figure it out under themselves, like who should actually make the PR. And then what we then have seen also is if then the PR is created, then of course the first person to review it is the other person that was interested in developing the issue. And saying, hey, that looks very much like my code, but I had this, alteration here. And then you have these live, great discussions on what's the best solution. Sure, you can grab any issue you want. Of course, you should only grab as many as you think you can handle, and also ideally within the foreseeable future. Assigning an issue and having it sit on you for 5 years is probably not ideal.
No, I understand. Yeah, I just wanted clarification on what the expected time frame was to get something in there.
There's also when partners start creating the pull request, there's also some of them we can kind of process within a couple of days. Like if the fastest was 2 days or something, and others take half a year. We even had some that took 9 months because there are discussions back and forth. And so time is relative on GitHub.
Oh, it is. It is. I know firsthand sometimes, and it's just like when you're doing modifications for customers, for example. A quick modification that you think is going to take you a short period of time can end up taking weeks because of the dialogue and the follow-up, which, as I had mentioned, I appreciate. It forces you to think and it forces you to follow through. And that's why I like even reading some of the pull requests, because myself, it's helped me think a little clearer and solidify some of the practices that I do as well.
Yeah, I think I should do most of my learning now by reading code reviews on GitHub. Also, getting the community perspective of things that we don't really have inside of this building. It's it's an eye opener for me. So, can highly recommend, as KB said, tag along, see what's going on out there. Of course, you don't have time to engage in everything. But if you, for instance, have an interest in encryption or something and you see a PR that changes the cryptography management module, take a look at what's happening. And especially in BC apps, you'll now see the comments from our internal developers, so you can have these dialogues with the people that are developing BC on the daily here. There's a lot to learn.
No, it is. I have to get in there and start commenting and talking with them. And now everybody has to be careful with what they write too, because everybody else sees it.
Yeah.
So we'll see it.
The next step can be fixing the small issues which you see annoying for yourself. I had one of it last time. It's just adding the captions in one place, right? Because it was just missing from the group. So instead of just creating an issue and waiting for Microsoft to fix something like that, why I cannot just fix it for them, right? Or for us, all of us, right? So that's something which can be the next step after you are watching. You probably will find some places in the system that you make, okay, maybe that there is a small issue, not so big impact, I can just fix it. But the second comment is to what you said about how long it takes, or how long when you are assigned. And to be honest, I need to say I'm assigned for over the year for one of the issues or two. Sorry for that, guys. But I really didn't have time and couldn't work on it. But I don't feel like this is what I already provided as a code is my code, right? So if someone just wants to grab something and finish it, because in this case, there was something that I just need to add, I don't mind, right? It's not my issue. Even if I'm assigned to that issue, if someone will say, hey, I see that you don't have time, can I just finish it? That's fine, right? Because that's all about the community. As Jesper said, that you will just talk to each other and try to figure out who will be doing it. I had also the similar story with one of the PR for APIs. because that was also possible at the moment. I don't know if still, but we were talking with Jesper and needed the APIs for fixed assets. So I created the APIs for fixed assets, and then it was, oh, you need to add the test, automated test. Oh, you needed to add something and something and something. There was quite a lot of comments. Again, no time to add those things, but we wanted it the community project, in fact, which we will release soon. And I said, and my developer was saying, hey, did you finish that? Did you finish the APIs, sending it to Microsoft? I said, no, but it's a very good point that you will do it. So we finished that and do the test. So, but what I want to say with that is like, it's all out. Like, if Microsoft will push it to their repository later to main branch, that's all our fault, right? Like, I feel like what I'm doing, something is not mine, is just for the community. So if someone wants to fix it, right, or add something additional to it, please go ahead. I will not say, hey, that's my code, you shouldn't touch it. That's not the approach I have, right? So everyone can fix and add something which is needed.
That's a great collaborative effort, and it helps clarify a little bit for those that may want to get in and collaborate with someone who's working on an issue, or they see an issue that they may need a resolution for sooner. Because I agree with you, there are some of those little, bugs that are, I don't want to call them bugs, those little annoying no-see-em type bugs, as we call them over here, where they just annoy you, but it's not a major issue. Yeah, exactly. And, fixing a caption, like you said, has a big impact because it makes for a better appearance, and it's not too impactful, and you can get that in there.
And very important to notice here is, to note here is that these small, we call them paper cuts.
I'll use that word now, paper cut.
Yeah.
New term, thank you.
Yeah, because like you can have death by 1,000 paper cuts, one of them you can deal with, but if you have all of these mini issues and it just breaks the entire experience and it just annoys the hell out of you and you just, it gets the better of you. So that's why, those we really, really want to get rid of. And we know that historically a lot of partners in the code customization model in the on-prem solutions, they had these fix packs where they said like, this is Microsoft's code base, and now we fix these, 120 small paper cuts because our customers shouldn't have these. And those we're very, very interested in receiving, also because they are often very non-disruptive, right? They just fix bad behavior of the product, or, it might be typos and stuff, that's fine. But there's also like alignment between, let's say, a sales order and a purchase order. Like, sometimes maybe the order of some actions is different or something, why? Your muscle memory just gets completely freaked out by that. And all kinds of things. We're also seeing like small corrections in performance, where we sometimes do. I think Waldo just a couple of months back created a small pull request where he said like, well, you're modifying the record for no reason. You should only modify it under this condition. And it's going to save you thousands and thousands of modifies every day. So these things are no-brainers, right? We don't need a BC idea for it or anything. You can create an issue, we're going to look at it, and if it's like, yeah, sure, go ahead and fix it, and then we can turn these around usually within a couple of days. So if you have any of these out there, stuff that annoys you, stuff that is just, where the lookup doesn't work, or it doesn't put the pointer to the right record, all these things, bring them. Let's get these ironed out, because there's no point in creating PTEs or whatever to fix that behavior for one client. That should just be fixed in the base product.
I have alternative opinion. And Jesper was talking.
That was the end of the call. Thank you very much.
On one hand, I'm absolutely agree with what you were saying, like about small things, etc. The problem, we have no definition of small things. And now you mentioned that like, oh, we don't need to call modify. And now I'm thinking about it like, okay, what if he was wrong? And we needed to have modify. And now we have something which is like, where we didn't modify like thousands of records in something. Like, who is going to be fixing these customers? Like once we release the new upgrade, which forgot to modify, like for example, in cost adjustment, the properties that record is adjusted. Like, good luck, yeah. But now we have a performance improvement, so cost adjustment is running like this one, but it forgets to update the modified flag in the item ledger entries. So interesting perspective. So like, I absolutely would love to get like all minor things like captions, application areas, missing fields, like missing whatever it is, brick definition, etc. But like, where is like this tiny area, like after which one we need to be very, very cautious, because like surprise, support and maintenance is still on Microsoft. So like everything what broken by community will be brought back to Microsoft for repair, and that we need to actually to deploy fixes to customers and fix them soon. So like, and this actually creates a huge theoretical question, like how do we define issues? Back to the starting of conversation. On one hand, like we were preparing the list of issues, like which we would like to see. On other hand, we have community which also would like to bring something, and how do we like define rules? What you can actually, sometimes like I don't want like a three-step approval process if somebody wants to bring like minor caption. So submit PR. Don't go to ideas. Don't go to issues. Just submit PR directly. Maybe I'm saying something wrong, Jesper. But for me, it's like in some cases it should be like super cheap, because people will review PR, and we review PR, and it's probably fine because this is like small and etc. In some cases, we need probably a more conversation upfront, and that's what we are trying to define right now. And probably, as Jesper mentioned, for each repository, we might have a different set of rules, because for system app, it's one, for extensions, it's another one, for base app, it's the third one, because each of them are slightly different. Yeah, just wanted to mention it.
That's exactly why it's still a pilot. You see, I mean, even internally, we can't agree on how this ideally should work.
Well, I think it may be a pilot, but I think it's great because you could ask opinions of everybody before you do something, and nobody will have an answer. Once you release something, it's Kris and I have a conversation about apps and other things that we work on or products, and once you release something, then everybody has a million comments, and it's almost, you almost feel like saying, well, I asked you before and you didn't have anything to say. So having it as a pilot and seeing how things evolve, to me, is a great idea, a great way to approach it. And it also, with it being community driven, as well as some oversight from Andrei and his team, and many of the other great team members you have at Microsoft, helps ensure that we have a great product. I say every single episode, rising tides raise all ships. We all want, and we all should want, a product that's successful, because we all work by it. And it's anytime I see anything disparaging about the application, I really feel like saying something that I started out when I first started my career: come to me with solutions, not problems. It's very easy to talk about problems and throw blame on someone else. But if you see a problem, come up with a way to fix it or a solution to fix it. And causing problem with some of these things that help make it great doesn't help anybody. It also can hurt yourself, because if this is a product that you work with, this is a product that you implement, why would you want to talk poorly about it? Because that's a representation of you as well too. So just wanted to throw that in there. But yes, with the pilot, keep it a pilot, keep going through it. I'm learning myself, a little selfish here. I get the opportunity to speak with everybody on this. So not everybody gets the chance to, but you are already readily accessible on there as well too, which I appreciate as well.
Should only get better from now on.
I see some vast improvements, but with that, I would like to thank all of you for taking the time to speak with us today. Time is extremely valuable. That's one thing that we don't get back. A lot of us live by time, and that the time and the minutes that you have, you can't get back in life. And anybody that spends the time speaking with us, Kris and I are both very appreciative of, and we'd like to thank you all. And would you be able to tell members of the community or anybody listening to this podcast, if they wanted more information, how they can get a hold of you? Christoph, KB, did I say it correctly?
KB, sure, yeah, that was really good.
Good. I'm trying.
Christoph.
So GitHub, sure. But also on blog, mostly on blog, and you will see me on some conferences this year, so hopefully we can talk. Unfortunately, I'm not going for directions US, but in Europe and also later, maybe in US as well. But who knows?
Hey, thank you. Jesper?
But I will just need to jump off. Sorry, guys, for that. It was really nice to talk with you. But
Thank you. We appreciate it. Hope to see you soon. We'll have a beer, even virtually, sir.
Right, Christoph.
Yeah.
Jesper.
Yeah. So I try to post a lot on now X. What's going on GitHub. I try to really be focused around open source or contribution GitHub. So that's what you mainly are gonna hear from me. Then of course I'm also very active on Viva Engage. So do tag me or write personal messages to me if you have any problems or questions with how things should work. And of course on GitHub you can also add Jesper Schultz, and then I will try to help out the best I can. So that's primarily the 3 channels I think where you can get engaged with me.
Great, thank you. We'll put that in the show notes. Andrei.
I'm mostly available in via Yammer. So I just realized that Jesper mentioned Viva Engage, but I also would like to mention the old name, familiar name to most of the people. So it's a place where I try to work with community and share designs or draft designs of what we are building. For example, we discuss project, all functionality upfront there, and also provide some insights about when it is available on insider builds. So not everybody needs to monitor GitHub. Sometimes it's enough to monitor one thread in Yammer. By the way, you can discover multiple groups there. It's a secret feature of Yammer. Not people know about it, that you can see many groups. I was not that active on GitHub recently, though I'm kind of monitoring Shopify connector on our Business Central app extensions repository. And also sometimes I'm involved in our pilot, but I promise to be more involved because we are preparing more features to open. And once we agree on how we present it better way, because today, publishing 50 or 100 issues might be a little bit messy. So we probably want to have a little bit more cleaner way to show what will be appreciated contribution from community.
Appreciate
contribution, yeah. That's probably 2. Plus, you can find me at Directions North America. Meet me at Directions North America. I just booked my tickets. So
excellent.
Nice. Well,
oh, you did? I should also get.
So
are you going? Are you going?
I hope so. I hope so.
I know you were there last year. This year, it's on the other side. It won't be on
Microsoft
this side
General,
of the country.
which we try to have a strong presence at Directions, at Tech Days. Sorry if I forgot any, but there are so many conferences, as you know. So we try to be present at most of them. But Directions, for sure, we always have a strong team. So
there is a
I hope I
conference
get to be part of it.
I hope to see both of you there. Andrei,
Yes.
if you're going, I will see you there for certain. Jesper, hopefully you make it. If not, let me know who I can call and politic for you to get a ticket or a seat. Because I'd like to see you there. But and Andrei, you did say now you promised you're going to be more active. So now it's there forever. So we have to see you there. So you can't take Jesper's line of, we'll take it back.
All right.
But again, thank you both for taking the time. We appreciate it, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Brian, Chris,
Thank you
always
both.
a pleasure.
All right, thank you.
Same.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
bye.
Thank you, Chris, for your time for another episode of In the Dynamics Corner Chair. And thank you to our guests for participating.
Thank you, Brad, for your time. It is a wonderful episode of Dynamics Corner Chair. I would also like to thank our guests for joining us. Thank you for all of our listeners tuning in as well. You can find Brad at developerlife.com. That is DVLPRLIFE.com. And you can interact with them via Twitter, DVLPRLIFE. You can also find me at matalino.io, MATALINO.io. And my Twitter handle is matalino16. And you can see those links down below in the show notes. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, and take care.